Apex Legends on the Nintendo Switch 2 is actually a thing with the release of the console. It's always been on the Nintendo Switch 1, but those of you guys are planning on getting the Nintendo Switch 2, or you guys maybe don't even know that the Nintendo Switch 2 has Apex Legends on it, just like the Switch 1, because they haven't really promoted it at all. I'm going to kind of be talking about in this video whether you guys are planning to get the Switch 2 or you guys are planning to download Apex Legends on the Nintendo Switch 2 and carrying it over from Switch 1, or if you're a newer player, and if the game is any better on the Nintendo Switch 2 over the Nintendo Switch 1, and that the stuff that's kind of improved, at least that I've noticed so far over the first like few days of the console being released. So just gonna hop right into it. If you guys like the video, leave a like, subscribe, share the video. I also did like a similar video of this for Overwatch 2, comparing both of the versions from the Switch 1 and the Switch 2. So that's also another game you guys are interested in playing or carrying over. If you were a player of the game on Switch 1, go check that video out as well. Kind of did the same thing. But overall, for the Nintendo Switch 2 version of Apex Legends, there are kind of three major things that are improved with the game. The one major thing that people are kind of hoping is that the game runs at a higher FPS. If you guys don't know, the Nintendo Switch 1 was actually capped at 30 FPS, and I'm kind of bummed to say that it actually is the same thing for the Switch 2. They have not increased the FPS cap for the Nintendo Switch 2 as of now, but a lot of the other consoles are running on 60 FPS, and some are even running around like 120. I think the really new ones. I don't know if the Switch 2 would be able to run this 120, but the 60 would probably be able to run like a lot of the other similar consoles to it. So whether they're gonna update the game so it runs at 60 FPS over 30, I don't know. Another thing you guys got to keep into consideration as well is if they do update the game to run at 60 FPS, there are still a bunch of people that play the game on the Nintendo Switch 1. So if they go and increase the FPS for the Nintendo Switch 2 and it's the same version of the game, I guarantee you that the Nintendo Switch 1 version of Apex Legends will no longer work at 60 FPS because the game was struggling at 30 on the Nintendo Switch 1. So I don't think they really are going to do it anytime soon until like the Switch 1 it kind of gets phased out, or if they have any plans to really phase the Switch 1 out, or at least that version of the game, to increase the FPS cap, because I think if they do that, the Nintendo Switch 1 version will definitely be unplayable. It can barely run the game at 30 FPS, and if they increase it to 60, I don't think the game will actually even be able to run. So, do you want to have the game playable on the Switch 1 and Switch 2 with 30 FPS, or do you want to force people to move over the Switch 2 when you already have a really reliable audience on the Switch 1 of probably a solid amount of players that do play the game on the Switch 1, and then you also have a bunch of other new people that might be picking up the Switch 2. I don't know if it's really worth that for them. That would probably be the main thing that would probably stop them from upgrading the game to 60 FPS. So I kind of want to just get that out of the way to begin with. The game is still at 30. It's not upgraded to 60 or 120 FPS as of now. But not really the worst thing ever. I think the game still, at 30 FPS for the Switch 2, is still a lot better. The main things that they need to really focus on for like the game anyways is the bad servers and like the matchmaking and the balance of the game. The 30 FPS cap for the Switch version, like the least their priorities right now. But that's an entirely different video. Another few things I think that with the game that are improved with the Switch 2, especially as playing it. If you guys know, I've been playing been a content creator for Apex Legends for the Switch 1 version since it was actually put on the Switch 1 back in like 2020. So I've been playing the game for like 5-6 years now on the Switch 1, and recently, as of like a few days ago, onto the Switch 2. So I think the major things that have kind of, you can actually really tell a difference is definitely the textures on the game, which also have some gameplay in the background of the Switch 1 and the Switch 2 gameplay as well, kind of comparing both two side by sides, and then I'll have like individual gameplay. I'll mark which one's which for you guys. You guys can judge which one's better, but you can probably notice like a huge difference with the Switch 2 gameplay because it runs a lot better on the Switch 2. That's one of the main things that I've noticed so far. It's a lot more fluid, and the textures seem to load a lot better. The Switch 1, the textures looked all grainy, and like it looked really bad. A lot of the shit didn't even load fully. Like you'd be walking on the ground looked like all blotchy and like really weird because it wouldn't load fully. That's no longer a problem on the Switch 2. The textures load a lot easier, especially with like a huge team fight. It's another thing too, similar to Overwatch 2. is if there's a lot of people fighting, especially in the later game circles. One of the major problems with the Switch 1 version is the game would have bad FPS drops and it would kind of slow down a little bit. And if there was a lot of people fighting, especially on your screen, it would really kind of hamper and lag the game down with a lot of stuff going on. That's no longer really a problem at all with the Switch 2 version. So if there's a lot of stuff going on the screen, it's a lot easier to fight and move around and be able to do what you really want to do, unlike the Switch 1 version. So that's kind of one of the major problems, is that was also kind of fixed with the updated version as well. So then the game just looks a lot better. It's a lot more fluid and the graphics look better. That's kind of just the main thing. Overall, like gameplay wise, it's a lot better with the Switch 2 Pro controller if you're playing it on TV. On handheld, I do not know because I don't play the game on handheld, but those of you guys that probably do, I don't know if you guys play with Joy-Cons. I don't know if you really want to be playing Apex Legends with Joy-Cons. I'm not sure, but if you happen to do that, let me know how it is. But I can't really speak for any experience on the handheld for the game, just the TV version with the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro controller. The new Nintendo Switch 2 Pro controller is great. It's an incredible controller, and I think overall, if you guys do get it, and you guys do have it, it's actually a really solid addition to the game if you want to use it for Apex Legends. I think it's actually a lot more better and a lot more of a better controller than the Switch 1 Pro controller is, even, at least from what I've been playing so far. I don't know how much it'll improve your gameplay, but it feels a lot better to use. So apart from that, I think it's the main things with the Switch 2 version is it just looks a lot better and runs a lot more fluidly. I think that's just the main things. There's still major problems. I think the major problems they really definitely need to fix with the game that is not really even related to the Switch 2 version is the server issues and like the server crashes. There's still server problems. I know I got disconnected from the servers like multiple times a day or two ago. The matchmaking with the game is still awful. You'll be like an average tier player like me, which I really don't play as much as I used to, and I'm still getting paired into like absolute fucking sweaty pub, like casual lobbies and all that type of shit, which is it's entirely different video, but that's kind of the other main thing. And the balance of the game, like the legend and like the weapon balance, is just god awful still. So I don't know whether that, at least for me, like it's not really the most fun to play, at least currently, until they get that stuff figured out. What I think is more of a priority of what they need to be focusing on over like the 60 FPS cap or the 30 FPS cap, making that 60 FPS for the Switch 2 version and all that type of stuff. The main thing is the game runs better on the Switch 2. That's all you guys really need to know. So if you guys are on the Switch 1 and you guys are looking to get a Switch 2, overall Apex Legends does run and look way better on the Nintendo Switch 2. I think the only other major complaint I would have is that voice chat is always on, so you kind of have to turn the voice chat off or try to bound it to push to talk. So if you guys do not know, the Nintendo Switch 2 actually has a built-in microphone on the console, so if you guys want to have the voice chat on, you gotta set it to push to talk, because otherwise it'll be on the entire time. Kind of similar to Overwatch 2, it has kind of the same problem. So if you guys are playing in public lobbies, you guys have to either turn the voice chat off or turn it to push to talk if you guys want to use it and not have it on the entire time. So kind of just another thing I want to throw in there. I don't know if that's really a major issue though that can be fixed just by enabling push to talk or just turning it off and on whenever you really want to use it. So you just have to remember that your voice chat is off. So if you take a break from the game, you got to go back into the settings and turn it back on. So that's just kind of a small like problem, but I don't know if we really call that a problem because the voice chat is a lot better on the Switch 2 as well. So alright, as I'm recording this video, I actually ended up getting a pack, and I actually just randomly opened a pack that I got through leveling up, and I got heirloom shards for the first time in like 4 years. So the last time I actually got heirloom shards was around when, a little bit after they released the Valkyrie heirloom, so like close to 4 or 5 years ago at this point. So I guess they really want me to play Apex Legends again. They're giving me heirloom shards, and I finally got heirloom shards again for the first time in like 3-4 years. So just wanted to throw this into the video, like what are the odds I'm recording this video for you guys and I open a pack and I get heirloom shards. So I don't know, just wanted to throw that in there because it's kind of ironic how that happens. I don't know, are you going to be talking in a lot of your lobbies? I don't know. A lot of the people that are on the voice chat really aren't the nicest, at least that I've seen, but whatever. So I want to throw that in there as well. It's kind of the same as Overwatch 2, so you guys do want to use the voice chat, it is always constantly on if you do have it enabled. So no matter what you're doing, even if you have like background noise, it'll get picked up into the microphone. So you gotta turn to push to talk or just turn it off entirely. So, apart from that though, nothing really else. Just kind of want to do a small video kind of talking about the Switch 2 version of Apex Legends. For those of you guys that are on the Switch 1, hoping to get a Switch 2 down the line, whether it's towards the holidays of 2025 or even further on, or if you're somebody that's on the Switch 1 and wondering if Apex Legends is even on the Switch 2, because I know they haven't promoted it at all, and a lot of people don't even know if that the Switch 1 games are going to be getting transferred over to the Switch 2, and if they're even on that system, but it is. So, kind of want to do a video about that. If you guys enjoyed, if this helped you, let me know in the comments down below. Leave a like, subscribe. I also make a bunch of other Switch 2 content for Overwatch 2, Apex Legends, Warframe on the Switch 2, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, a bunch of other stuff over here, Mario Kart World. So if that interests you guys, subscribe down below. I also stream over here usually 2 times a week, and then usually on Twitch once in a while as well. Usually Friday and Saturday nights, and I'll stream on Twitch once in a while. So if that interests you guys, subscribe as well so you guys get notified when I'm live. Apart from that, I'm out of here. Peace out, everybody. Thanks for watching.